on searching PubMed, Biosis Previews, and Web of Science with EndNote Web. This presentation is intended for you undergraduate researchers who are here for a special program here at Hunter College this summer. This is a relatively quick and brief overview which will be covering highlights of these resources. And I encourage you to follow up with me, Brian Lym, the science librarian here at Hunter College, or your local librarian at your home college or university if you want further information on using and searching these resources. Let's get started. If you're at Hunter College, you'll want to connect to any of these resources through the Hunter Library Databases page. And you see the link at the top, library.hunter.cuny.edu/databases. And if you're searching from home, you can go to this database page, and when you click on the name of a database, you'll have to enter your Hunter email name and password. That allows you to get into these databases, which provide you with articles, references that are not free on the internet. So you have to authenticate with your email name and password. These resources cost the college money, and we're subscribing to these for your benefit. And so we ask you to please take advantage of them when you're studying here at Hunter. And for those of you who are at other colleges and universities, check again with your local college or university library to see if you have any of these databases. From the Hunter Library database page, we can browse to the science and technology databases by clicking the Browse by Subject drop-down and selecting Science/Technology, which produces a list of a number of resources, including PubMed, which is what we're going to be looking at first, and others as well. You'll notice that on the Hunter Library databases page, some of the links to these databases are green and some are blue. The green ones are actually free resources on the internet. You can go to them directly without going to the Hunter Library databases page. However, if you do so, you won't be able to get the full text that's embedded in these resources. And I'll be explaining that further. And I should add the full text that which we receive on subscription basis only at Hunter College. So we'll be looking at PubMed. It's a premier biomedical literature database from the National Library of Medicine. It's a U.S. federally supported database with millions of citations to thousands of articles. And we think this is the premier resource for you to start searching your topic. And if you're doing anything biomedical, bioscience related. When you open up PubMed, and many of you are familiar, as I've learned, with using PubMed, you get this search screen. And what I've done here is I've entered my search terms. Here I've entered Fragile X and hippocampal. Those are my keywords from my search. Notice that I've only put in key terms, the main words from my search. I'm not putting in an entire sentence. And I'm connecting my keywords here with the word and. And I can do that, use connector words like and or to refine, to expand, to broaden my search, narrow my search. And what I'm going to do in addition, after typing in my keywords, is select limits. And this is where you can see the power of PubMed really is by looking at the limits. And by clicking on limits, I get an entire page of options to limit my search, because quite likely you're going to get very large results if you don't limit. And so what I'm going to be doing in this case, because I'm interested, let's say, in human studies rather than specifically animal studies, I'm going to click on humans. And if I go down the page, I see other options for limiting by type of publication, demographic group of study, etc. And so by limiting to human studies, and as you see in the left-hand corner, limits is checkmarked, and we have a yellow bar hovering above our results that says limits : humans. We know that this limit to humans is now in place. We get 48 results and 11 review articles. 48 articles plus 11 review articles. And I'm going to be looking at one of the results here, and these results, of course, are in reverse chronological order. You're all familiar with these kinds of displays when you use a periodical database. And I'm going to be selecting the second item here, the FXG, a presynaptic fragile X granule expressed in a subset of developing brain circuits. When I click on the title, I get what they call an abstract plus view, and all of you are probably familiar with this kind of view, where you have on the left-hand side a summary of the article, on the right-hand side links to related articles on this topic. And if you look in the right middle of the screen, you'll see links to full text if it's available, and a link to find it. And I should say that the links to full text will only display if the article is available free on the internet, or if it's available through a subscription at your local library. In this case, I believe that it's possibly available both ways, because I see a Find It link on the right-hand side, just under the final version link to the journal itself. My advice to you is to click on both links. I clicked on the top link, and I got linked directly to the article itself. And this is available to me through the Hunter Library Databases subscription to the Journal of Neuroscience. Now, there's more that I can do with my reference. For instance, if I want to refine my search to find articles that are really specifically related to my topic, the topic in the paper I was just looking at, I can select from the display drop-down citation. And what this will do, if you scroll down to the bottom of the citation display for the reference, you'll see something called MESH terms, medical subject heading terms. And these are the official categories or subjects under which PubMed indexes all of the articles in its database. And you'll see here that some of these indexed terms, subject headings, are asterisked. That means that those terms, those subjects, are the major aspects of that specific article. And if I want to find other articles under those major aspects, or any of them, I can just click them on. Let's say I'm interested in Fragile X mental retardation protein genetics. I can click on that MESH term, and a little pop-up will appear on the right-hand side, which will give me a number of choices. And the first one is to click on PubMed, which will automatically run a search just on those just on that term. And so here I have actually expanded my search. I believe I began with 48, and now I'm at 148 articles. And these are all about, as you see circled above, Fragile X mental retardation protein genetics, MAJR. You don't see the R there, but that indicates that that's a major category. For all of the articles that I'm looking at here in my list. Now, the other thing you can do with a reference is to download it, do a data dump of that reference into what we call bibliographic citation software. So if you want to capture your reference and put it in a database, a library of your own, basically, so that you can keep track of your references, print them out in a formatted bibliography, you can download this reference by selecting the Medline option from the display drop-down menu on the left-hand side when you're viewing an article reference. And what this does, it will show you the same reference, but with all of the information in it tagged, that is, labeled. And the next step I can take is to, under the Send To drop-down, is select File. And what this does is it saves that reference in that tagged format as a text file. And I'm going to save that text file to my desktop. And from there, I can import that saved file into a citation manager, in this case, EndNote. And many of you might be familiar with EndNote. It is one of the premier citation software applications that's available to the scholarly communities, and it's many in the biosciences are using this. This seems to be the citation software of choice, EndNote. And what we're looking at here is the EndNote web version of EndNote. It's the portable version. You can upload citations, references into this web-based software, and you can have a portable library that's accessible to you anywhere of your own references. So I've gone into EndNote web, or myendnoteweb.com, and I've gone to the import screen and selected the file to upload into my library. And there is a lot more information about how to register for my EndNote web, how to get access to this product, which is available through the Hunter College Library and maybe quite, and may also be available from your home library. And there I've imported the reference. And the important thing that I did, which I did before I got to this page, was select the PubMed NLM filter. That's a technicality that you'll encounter when you're actually doing the import. Don't worry too much about it now. It's best that you actually try this out and learn by practice. So how do you get EndNote? You can download it if you're at the Hunter College Library and you're a Hunter College student with a Hunter College email and password. If you go to our library homepage and find the EndNote link. And I've given you the actual direct URL here to downloading EndNote, the desktop version, onto your personal computer. You can also go to myendnoteweb.com to get a web-based account and register for it there. And if you have any other specific questions, go to the EndNote tips and tutorial at the address at the bottom of the screen. So we've looked at PubMed, another premier database for biomedical biosciences research. That's a little broader than PubMed, but an excellent one for you to use, especially if you're looking for meeting abstracts, patents that are not included in PubMed. PubMed, I should say, includes only published journal articles, whether they appear electronically or in print, but published materials. So meeting abstracts, for instance, are not covered in PubMed, but they are in Biosis previews. And why would you want to look at meeting abstracts? They include cutting-edge research that may not be peer-reviewed, but have been presented at meetings, current meetings. It's a rich source of data that you might want to take a look at, especially if you're looking at very new fields of research. And to access BIOSIS previews, you can do that again through the Hunter Library database page and select the Science Technology drop-down and select BIOSIS previews. And for those of you who aren't at Hunter College, and check again with your University College Library to see if it's listed on their database page. At Hunter College, we get BIOSIS previews through an interface called Web of Knowledge. And the Web of Knowledge databases suites all have the same kind of search interface. So I'm going to do the same search here. I've put in Fragile X and Hippocamp. And what I've done here is actually, well, quite frankly, not put in exactly the same search. I put in quote marks around the phrase Fragile X and put an asterisk at the end of the word stem hippocamp, which would pull up variants of that beginning with that word stem. Hippocampus, hippocampal. I didn't need to do that in PubMed because PubMed is smart enough to match terms with variants, and it recognizes exact phrases without putting quote marks around them. But I have to do that in this database. And I'm combining these terms with the word and, which I did do in PubMed. Now let me give you some advice here. When you're using the search interface in BIOSIS Previews, this Web of Knowledge search interface, you're going to want to be able to focus the search. And the way I've done it here is I'm going to limit my search to title. So in the first drop down here, which says topic, I'm going to change that to title. And by doing that, I get a list of 17 results. And you'll see on the left-hand side, I can further narrow my search results by selecting what BIOSIS calls major concepts. So for instance, if I just want to focus on those articles which really focus on genetics, as you'll see, genetics, under genetics, there's 5 articles out of this set of 17. I can do that. I can also focus my search by selecting document type. And you'll see here that out of this set, there are 8 meeting abstracts. So I'm going to select that, because I'm looking for, again, cutting-edge research that might be very interesting to look at. And so I'm now looking at that set of 8 results. And as you see at the top, these are all meeting abstracts. And I'm going to take a look at one of the abstracts that displays here. Here's the title is Synaptic Maturation of Cultured Hippocampal Neurons from Fragile X Mice. And what I've got is the abstract, summary of that presentation. I'm not going to get necessarily the full text from the link here. And you see there's a link that says Find It. That may or may not take me to the full text or more information about that presentation. What I want to do here now is save this reference to EndNote, and I can do that directly from the Web of Knowledge system here by clicking on Save to EndNote Web. And another database under the Web of Knowledge suite is Web of Science. And it's an interdisciplinary database with extensive coverage of scientific literature. And how this differs from PubMed or BIOSIS is that it includes citation counts. So as you'll see shortly, you'll see that the articles that are listed will show you how many times they have been cited by other authors. And this is a very, very powerful feature of this database. And you can't get this really from this kind of information from many sources. And you can access, again, this resource through the Hunter College Library Database page, selecting Browse by subject to Science and Technology resources, or you can simply click on Web of Science or Science Citation Index from the big Hunter College Library Databases page. I've entered exactly the same search, with the same search strategy, putting quote marks around Fragile X and abbreviating hippocampus or hippocampal to hippocamp asterisk to pull up all word variants thereof. And what I've done here is I've clearly limited my search to title. Again, the default option in the first box is topic, which is a very broad way to search for articles by topic. And topic in these databases means that you're going to be looking for the words you've typed in this title or abstract or author-supplied keywords in articles. It's not the most precise search. I highly recommend using title. If you don't get too much using title, broaden out to topic using the default search option in any of these Web of Knowledge databases. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got. So narrowing down to title, we get 13 results in Web of Knowledge, Web of Science. And again, on my left-hand side, we have ways of refining the search. And these are in order by latest date, as with all of these databases. You're going to be looking at the most current literature first. But what I can do is change the sort by drop-down on the right-hand side to times cited. And as you'll see, these articles have been ordered by the number of times they have been cited by other authors. So you'll see that the first article now listed is been cited 117 times. And that's an indication of the influence of that article in the field. And of course, that article may be bad science, and therefore it's cited a lot as being bad science, but we trust that high citation counts is some kind of indicator of quality and authority of that article, and something you might want to use. So we're looking at the top-rated citation reference there more closely. I clicked it on, and I get an abstract, and you'll see, again, where it says times cited, it's been cited 117 times. You'll also see references 54 here. That link to references will link me to the references in this specific article. So I can go backwards and forwards, so to speak, tracing the intellectual history of that article, looking at its bibliography, looking at those who've cited it. Now the other thing I, of course, do is save that reference to my Internet Web. And on the previous screen, I had a link to saving that reference to my Internet Web. And when I did that, I got this screen that shows me that my reference is being dumped into my Internet library. And in order for you to do this kind of data dump, you should have my Internet Web opened up already. And if you don't, you'll go through some intermediary screens which will ask you to log into your account. Now, specifically for those of you who are at Hunter College, I've given you this page of information, and which I won't go into great detail now, but you can read through it. Basically, it says if you can't find the specific article in full text that you want from any of these databases, follow these steps. We have a link to locating articles. We're locating specific journals from a journal title list link on our home page. You can also search for specific journals to see if they're at any of the CUNY or Hunter College libraries by going to CUNY Plus, which is the Hunter College and CUNY Libraries library catalog. And if you are a grad student in the Hunter College or CUNY system, you can check with your interlibrary loan departments here at Hunter or at your specific CUNY school to see if you can get an article through interlibrary loan. And a word to all of those of you who are not at Hunter, again, check with your local college or university library to get access to resources that may not appear full text in any of the databases. And here's my contact information for those of you who are here at Hunter. And I understand many of you are here for at least a few more weeks with your SPUR program. And I'm also available in person at the Hunter College Library on the 4th floor. You can just ask for me at the reference desk. And we also have a 24/7 Ask a Librarian link on our Hunter Library homepage. Thanks very much, and I look forward to hearing from you. And good luck with your research. Thank you. Okay, thanks. That was about 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Okay, great. Yeah. I don't like to make them too long because people get bored and they can chunk it up.